And then from an All Blacks defense point, I almost feel that, what I see is that they're giving too much space. It's almost like I'm not seeing that kind of, and I don't know if it is just like because everyone's doing it, we're not doing it, but they give, to me, quite a bit of space sometimes for the opposing teams to play. You saw that with England, you see that with Argentina. They have space to play. And then the other thing that I also find with their defense, very interesting, that I thought, why? Because their discipline around rolling away from those, it's tough. I also know the Springboks were scored a lot against Ireland, but that way you kind of sealing off the ball and kind of not rolling away from the ball quick enough. There's almost like a discipline issue there where they really have to look at it and get out of there quicker, because they're going to keep other teams in the games. If they play in their own half and they're not rolling away when they do the tackles, then they're just giving away points to the other teams.
It's, I guess what the ref allows you to get away with was there's no coincidence with those rolling into traffic happens. That's quite strategic to try and slow the ball down, and sometimes you'll get away with it, and sometimes you get called up on it.
Yeah.
But
and then
I agree. I think the defensive line from the All Blacks seem to be the traditional just hold the line. Seldom you have the guys shooting up to apply the pressure or
and I think maybe
rush the guys.
Maybe then transitioning to wanting to chat a bit about the coaches. Let's talk about the All Blacks coaches and also the Argentinian coaches. So for me, I'll just quickly share that I think that the All Black coaches, for me, I still feel they everyone was excited. They're like, hey, we've got Razor. He's coming with a new game plan. He's brought in some stuff, but a lot of stuff I still think he's got an old way of thinking of how not trying new stuff, like sticking to old All Black way of playing. We will keep running the ball. We will keep doing what we're doing, and a good example is, for instance, the bench splits. For instance, they'll stick to the 5-3 split, because that is what All Blacks do. They do a 5-3 split. They want that extra back. But if you go think and how they're struggling with the forwards among those locks and those loosies at the moment, having an extra guy on the bench could be really advantage for them right now. Just looking at that 6-2 split. But as soon as it is a Springbok thing or someone else's thing, I just feel they slow to adopt it because someone else is doing it. Where I think the rugby is going a certain way and everyone kind of follows suit. You see England's followed suit and what the Springboks do. Argentina seems to be following suit in what the French have done. And I mean, if the strategy works, you can use it. Why not? It's a game, that's what it's all about. So yeah, that's what I think around the strategy of the bench split and the coaching with the All Blacks. What's your opinions around the coaching of the All Blacks and all of that?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I kind of wonder what would be a reasonable time to start questioning the new coach, because I can tell you people would have been blood in the water if this result came under Fozzie. But Razor's just stepped into the role, so it'd probably be pretty unreasonable to start complaining about it too early. But
imagine they're going to play now 2 games in South Africa. Even if they win the second one against Argentina, it's tough for him now to keep a good score sheet there. He's really going to have to pick up change something, I reckon, to pick the game up.
I mean, definitely the results on the weekend, I think, spiced up the South African tour for them.
Yeah,
it's definitely going to be a lot to play for in those 2 games, and the pressure is going to be on. And All Blacks tend to perform pretty well when they're under pressure, so it's definitely not going to be dead rubber matches. There's going to be everything to play for in those, and that's going to be awesome games. I'm looking forward to those games.
And then what I also don't really understand with the coaching from the All Blacks is that Jason Ryan initially came up with the Crusaders. under Foster, under Razor, and he done well with the Crusaders with Razor, great forwards coach, and he stepped in with Joe Schmidt and Foster into the All Blacks before the All Blacks coaching staff, because they kind of felt he stole him from Razor early, already pulling him in. And Jason Ryan, for me, did really good work with the All Blacks, because they had issues there with the forwards before, when Foster was going through a kind of a bad stint. And he brought Jason Ryan in, and suddenly the forwards just changed. They were able to start stopping the rolling mauls, a lot more efficient from the Springboks. A lot of things improved. Their scrums improved a hell of a lot. But it's suddenly like you look at this weekend, just that rolling maul try from Argentina, and that's so unlike the All Blacks to be so poor in that defense in that area. And it's just like very strange to me when you look at it's exactly the same guy. His actual coach he used to work with, and suddenly it's not working. It's interesting. Who knows, eh?
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty interesting to see how the team bounces back, after this week, and see if they just get things sorted out. Because I still don't really think the main issue is like personnel or like even performance. I honestly kind of get the feeling that it was like a tactical misread, and they maybe went out with a game plan, and when Argentina was applying the pressure, it kind of got them off their game plan, and they didn't like switch to like a new plan. They kind of got stuck in limbo, and it's the quickest way to the bottom is trying to do two different things.
Yeah,
half.
I have to still
commit
say
to something and then give that a go.
Go back to the basics. I mean, I gotta say, go back to the basics. Start getting, before you wanna, do all the numbers in the back line, all those kind of things. Get back to the basics. Carry the ball. Play, gain line meters. Play in the opposing half. Work with the simple rules like you learn anyone playing in school rugby. You try and exit out of your own half, and you don't try and play in your own half. You try and get into the other half and force mistakes. Basics, because if the All Blacks start getting it right, yes, they can start playing out of their own half. I saw the Springboks do it this weekend, and I felt they did it pretty well, breaking out of their own lines and being able to create something out of it. But if you want to do that, you really need the team to be in a good cohesion, and I just don't feel they are there yet. Then I just wanted to ask you also the Contemporaneous. Pretty good coach, eh? I had my questions after the France loss, and Argentina didn't start too well at the start of the year, but I kind of now starting to see this guy. He's coming with some plans. He's got some plans up his sleeve.
I must say it's like a bit of a surprise. Argentina was off the radar for me a little bit. Like the opening warm-up games or opening test matches of the season. I didn't kind of expect this performance from them. It really was like kind of, they weren't on my radar as being like a big game, and perhaps that was the issue like for the All Blacks this weekend as well, that they weren't really tracking them on the radar as like a big game, and like maybe
I think there was that underestimating.
Looking ahead past these games, and they got surprised and caught off guard a little bit. But I think it's going to be quite interesting to see how they bounce back. If they're able to bounce back, which I think they'll probably be able to make the adjustments to get a couple of things sorted out. And I don't think it's going to be probably as close a game this weekend. I suspect the All Blacks might bounce back and maybe
blow it out
10 or 15.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say blowout, but I suspect maybe like a 10-15 point margin.
Well, they're definitely going to come out with intention. I think they're going to come back. They got to. I mean, it's pressure now for them. So now it's on. So I do think, but I actually reckon it's still going to be a close test match. I don't think the All Blacks can just fix everything very quickly. It's been kind of like a long time coming if you see how close they ran it in with England. And this was not something that the All Blacks used to do, is lose at home. And they've lost. It started from the Ireland test, and it's just been happening over and over now. And you start seeing there's just a progression there where they are not progressing in the right direction. They're not getting out of it. It's kind of like just slowly but surely losing more games. Now, it's not that then the All Blacks are this terrible team. It's just not that All Blacks that used to be the team at home that you couldn't beat. I mean, the Springboks lose at home sometimes. Everyone loses on their own fields, but that wasn't the All Blacks. So it's just that the All Blacks are not what they used to be. And even if they win this next game, I still feel they're going to need time, with all these new guys and building depth, because you go look at the amount of caps like the Springboks have. Even Argentina's got still a lot of experienced guys in there in the mix, a Creevy and a Montera. I mean, Montera with the IP that he went back with because he played for Crusaders. And I think he went back, he's gone back with a lot of IP. And that's why you could actually see Montero was like psyched for that game. He was crazy on the field, It's like...
He even took back the hairstyle, man.
Yeah, he took the same hairstyle. Yeah, exactly. He looked a bit like a Kiwi. He took back the hairstyle, everything. But I mean, you could see he was up for it. And he kind of like, it almost seemed like he got the notes of what the All Blacks are going to play, because he was psyched. It's like he had a feeling they could do this, And that's the thing for me. I think the All Blacks road is a long one, and it might be the opportunity for the Springboks to win the Rugby Championship again, but we can't jump ahead as Springbok supporters. We know how it goes. You never underestimate an All Black team. They can always come surprise you. And Argentina also, we don't know if they keep doing what they're doing. We still got to see what the Springboks will do against them. So yeah, it's all interesting. What I wanted to ask you was around Joe Schmidt as a coach for the Wallabies. What's your opinion now? I mean, before this game, I'll just say from my opinion, before this game, I really felt that Joe Schmidt's going in the right direction. And I personally still think he is with that team, and he's done great things considering where they were. But I mean, you got to understand, he just played the best in the world, in my opinion. Some people might say, oh no, Ireland is, but Ireland's not. The Springboks are the best in the world right now. And look, granted, it was a blowout, but what do you think?
Going in the right direction with the Aussies is quite easy, because they're pretty far down the road, going in the other direction already. So
true. But do you think he can do it? Do you think he can do it? Do you think it's the right guy?
Well, it's still early, and they've got a pretty young team as well. Definitely a lot of rebuilding that needs to happen. I don't think they're gonna feature majorly in the championship this year, but there's still a bit of time.
Yeah.
Because I think their game plan is to build for the World Cup they're hosting. So, they're definitely going to be building on like a 3-4 year plan kind of thing. I don't think they're too worried about the results in the next 3 years, but they're going to want to feature, hopefully in the final of their home World Cup. So, I think it's too early to really read too much into their performances at this stage. They're definitely on a big building phase at the moment.
Similar to you, I also feel it's a long-term thing for them, but I do feel that Joe Schmidt's the right guy. I reckon it is the right coach. I think he's definitely a better option than Eddie Jones. But what I think with him is he's already changed the personnel quite a bit, as you call it, the personnel, because there's for me better players in the right positions. And I do think with time they will keep improving. He is a good coach, but it will take them time. I mean, they just played like a very strong team. They will still win some games against teams that maybe more their competition around 5-6 in the world at the moment, because that's kind of where they seem to be right now. But they will be a good team for the future, and there's some good guys coming through there. Fraser McWright. as one player that really stands out to me. I think he's a good player, very good around the breakdowns and as a leader. And yeah, I mean they've got a young backline. Yeah, so it's the same guys, Ikitau, Lolesio, you know, the same guys, and some of them are starting to find better form. Tom Wright had pretty good games lately. So they've got enough young guys there to build on. The backline is actually more experienced than some of those forwards, but I mean, definitely a team that can still build in the future. I thought they'd be better, quicker, which is not quite the case as we've been proven now. But maybe it is just that the Springboks is just way ahead than the other three teams right now. And we might find that they give each other a great competition. That might just be the case. We just don't know yet. So we will probably learn with that one.
Yeah, I don't think we'll necessarily realize how much damage Eddie Jones did to that team with a couple of the bizarre like tactical changes and personnel changes and decisions that he made regarding selection.
Yeah, just dropping Hooper and dropping.
Yeah, they forced a couple of really good senior players out.
Yeah,
you know, getting youngsters in way too early, and yeah, I think they scored a little bit, and it's going to take them some time to build up that personnel levels again, and you know, just the depth.
Okay, yeah. So now
in the squad.
Oh, sorry.
But probably 2-3 years in before we're going to really see what's happening with them, I think.
Then what do you think of the Springbok coach? He's like, is that a trick question? Well, let me ask you this. Right? Yeah, he's in your head. But let me ask you more of a trick question. Do you think the strategy of Rassie, because I know you one of those guys that I know from previous chats, you trust Rassie's plan. You've said to me before, you trust their plan, and you were right. They won another World Cup, so I mean, I've got to give it to you. But like, do you still trust Rassie's plan? Or after speaking about, this kind of, you can clearly see he has made changes in the way the Springboks play.
It's definitely a bit of in thinking, but at the end of the day, it is Rassie that you're talking about. Then that's probably the only consistency in his game, and the game that he develops is the fact that it's not consistent, and that he's always pushing for the new loophole or angle, and it might be a situation where he's like kind of in the trendsetter, getting everybody to start doing the rush defense, and then who knows, maybe
and then the next World Cup
we'll move away from the rush defense and we change it up again.
Could be.
Yeah, no, it's always interesting. He doesn't seem to be too fussed about any of the new rule changes that's come through.
Well, I personally like what he's done, but that's just from my opinion. Like, I like the more kind of like style that they're playing now, and I do think they can always default back to what they know. It's ingrained. It's 2 World Cups. It's 8 years that they did what they did. So I think that can be changed like this. You can go into halftime at a World Cup and say, hey guys, this expansive game's not working. We got to turn it back up to what we do and make a few changes, and they can go right back to that. So I just think it develops another side of Springbok rugby, which is exciting to me, and it really makes guys like a Kurtley Orances shine, the backline shine. Jesse Kruel gets a lot of opportunities now. The wingers get ball. Willie Leroux is looking a lot better than he ever looked because he can play more of his type game. From a backline point of view, it looks good, and it's nice. It's really nice for me when I see a Peter Steph du Toit run through as like a winger and go score a try. I can't complain.
For the Boks expansive game, they shouldn't just go back and fall back to the defensive game plan as a default when they're struggling, but have that ability to literally just flick the switch and
that would be
on
cool.
The fly
in the game,
change between the two. Go from attack to defense.
That would be so awesome.
Run it up close, swing it out wide, and I think if they're able to develop that skill set, then they truly will have a lot of teams
kudos to
probably
him.
stressed out facing
Yeah.
them, because that's best of both worlds, and that would probably be. But again, you want to be jack of all trades, master of none, right? You want to avoid that situation, and
True.
you need to be able to honestly perform well on either or, and also like your game plan, what you want to do versus reacting to other teams.
Yeah, no, I mean, I wouldn't say, for me, like, what I like about him is that he definitely comes with new initiatives all the time. I'm really appreciating what he's doing, because it just brings a new dynamic to Springbok rugby. And what you said earlier, that other teams are going to start getting worried, I think that's already happening. I do really think that the All Blacks will look at the Springboks a bit differently now that the Springboks are playing this type of game, because that kind of is fighting fire with fire in certain ways, but the Springboks still will have that kind of, generally in set pieces, get the better of the All Blacks in some of those. We know, if we go look at statistics, the Springboks do get the better in the set pieces.